You're watching Btekt, this is David, and this video is sponsored by Direct Mobiles. Check out the best mobile deals at directmobiles.co.uk. Sony recently unveiled their new wave of mid-range and premium flagship phones. They've changed the naming system, calling them Xperia 10 Mark II for the mid-range and Xperia 1 Mark II for the flagship. I quite like the route that they've taken with the naming system, as it does associate the phones more with the Alpha series of cameras and just makes more sense than using random odd numbers. But there was a third device that was released alongside the mainstream devices, and it's arguably the most premium and the most powerful of the lot, although you probably will never see one. The Sony Xperia Pro shares all the same attributes as the flagship Xperia 1 Mark II, but has some very impressive additional abilities that I would say are not really designed for the consumer market and really are for professional filmmakers and broadcasters. The base spec is similar to the Xperia 1 Mark II. It still has the Snapdragon 865 5G chipset and with the same or very similar 4K HDR OLED display with 3840 by 1644 resolution and with the 90Hz motion blur reduction. The screen also supports a 10-bit color depth input for smoother color graduation than anything else that we've seen yet. This is especially useful for the Xperia Pro, as one of its party tricks is being able to connect to any camera via HDMI for video monitoring. But the Xperia Pro is more than just a field monitor. As well as being able to connect to any camera, it can then broadcast that signal in 5G using the mmWave bandwidth. Sony say that it's a game changer, and I have to agree with them. This is huge for many different types of video content producers. This thing is like your own personal outside broadcast truck. For anyone attending events at the moment, it is hard to broadcast live, as when you have so many people in one place, getting a signal is tricky, and then broadcasting that signal in any kind of quality is even harder. But with the mmWave 5G, you should be able to broadcast that signal in 4K or even, dare I say, 8K. The Xperia Pro supports sub-6 bands N2, N5 and N66 and mmWave bands N260 and N261. At the moment in the UK, the networks are only using the lower portion of the 5G spectrum, so they use the lower N number frequencies found on the Xperia Pro. But the mmWave is a much higher frequency 5G signal, designated by the high numbers. This frequency has a much greater bandwidth than the 4G or even the lower band 5G, meaning that it can carry much more data, although as the name sort of suggests, the signal itself is much narrower and more focused. It's more like a laser beam that has to track each user rather than a floodlight which covers multiple users at once, which is one reason for the 360-degree antenna that Sony has built onto the Xperia Pro. It is necessary to minimize the signal being lost or blocked by the way the user holds the phone. It's finished with Gorilla Glass 6 on the front and a rubber type material on the back and around the frame. It does seem a lot more rugged because of this covering, but it's not there for protection. It's a low dielectric constant material which helps maintain a reliable connection while allowing the 5G mmWave radio signals to pass through more easily. It does seem to add a little bit of bulk to the device, and it doesn't nearly look as nice as the new Xperia 1 Mark II. But other than these professional-like additions, the Xperia Pro is more or less the same as the Xperia 1 Mark II. It still has IP65/68 water and dust resistance, it still has a 4000 mAh battery, it also has the same camera system of 3 12-megapixel sensors and a 3D eye timer flight sensor. This time though, there is 2 exmor RS for mobile sensors, those being the main with the 24mm focal length and the ultra-wide with a 16mm focal length. The third is a 70mm telephoto lens with the regular CMOS architecture. And this time round with the Xperia 1 Mark II, they are using Zeiss lenses. As well as the Cinema Pro app, which I just love using on the Xperia 1 and the Xperia 5, you get the Photo Pro app, which gives you full manual controls of the camera and the same user interface as the Sony Alpha cameras.
Online user interface between Alpha and Xperia.
This is something that I really can't wait to try out, as I do love the Cinema Pro app. This device is clearly a tool that's been designed to be the perfect companion for owners of Sony professional mirrorless and video cameras. We've been hearing for a while that Sony's Alpha division would be more heavily involved in the development of Xperia smartphones, but we haven't really seen that until now. But for me, the most disappointing thing about the Xperia Pro is that Sony haven't deemed it suitable for the European markets, and it will probably go the way of the Xperia 1 Professional Edition, which they released late last year and was only released in Japan. It's really disappointing because I think there is a lot of professional and prosumer grade users that own Alpha cameras, and I'm sure they'd love to get their hands on this phone. In fact, I bet there's a lot of people who don't own alpha cameras, but still would find the extra features extremely useful. Anyway, let me know in the comments below if you would get the Xperia Pro over the Xperia 1 given the opportunity. I've been told Xperia 1 Mark II samples are on the way, so make sure you subscribe to Btekt, hit the notification bell so you know every time we post a new video. The Xperia 1 Mark II will get the full Btekt once over very soon. And when you're ready to buy your new Sony, make sure you check out the Direct Mobile's website. The perfect place to look for your new phone. You can compare all of the available deals with all of the networks, all there on the one website. And with 24 years of award-winning customer service, you definitely are in good hands. Their link is in the description below, or search directmobiles.co.uk. Also look for the best tech and for the best accessories for Sony smartphones and more at the Btekt Amazon shop. That link's down in the description as well. Buying through there will help out the channel, so if you want to support Btekt, then go and check out the Btekt Amazon shop. And that's it from me. Follow me on social media. I'm David, this is Btekt.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.